Hi guys, and welcome to Creative You Art Lesson Crates. My name is Karen and I'm going to be your instructor. Alright, so what we're going to do today is a watercolor parrot. This is part 2 of the parrot lesson. The first one showed you how to paint or how to draw it, and then we left off with me informing you that you could either fill it in with watercolor, gouache, or acrylic. You can also use dry mediums too, like chalk pastels, oil pastels, even crayons and markers. What we're going to do for this one is watercolor. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to need a water source. I usually use a bucket. You're going to need a paintbrush and a napkin. Make sure that you're on a nice flat surface that can get messed up, just in case you're a messy painter like me. And make sure that you're wearing something that doesn't really matter if something gets on it. Alright, so let's pause the video and get our supplies out. Okay, for watercolors it is important that we have clean water. You don't want to use dirty water, and by that I mean if you've painted one thing and you still have water in your container and you want to just use that water. I don't recommend it because clean water causes your paints to be nice and true to color. If you use dirty water, you're going to tint your colors. Okay, so to start with, now here's my little bucket full of water. I'm going to take my paint, oops, let me get the right paint, and dip my brush in water. I'm going to come in here, add some water to my paper, just a little, dip my brush again, pick up my paint, and start filling. If it's not dark enough, keep adding color. You see how it's traveling up? It's going up, up, up. And the cool thing about watercolor is you can keep adding layers and making it darker and darker till it is the darkness that you are looking for. Alright, I want it nice and dark in this area here. And then it can fade out some as it comes out further. We're going to wet the area. Grab the color and start filling. Now if you want some variations in this red, pick up a little orange. Start blending that in. You see how you get this really neat, subtle coloring? Keep dragging it out. Now I do want to add some feathers coming out. So you can be messy on your edge. Okay, do it some more. I'm going to grab my red again and keep going in a similar direction so it looks like it's feathers. I mean, you don't want to go side to side. That would look a little funny. Having feathers going really bad hair day way. Look like me in the morning. Alright, so now, whew, got a lot of paint on that one. Now what I want to do is add some shadow to this corner here. So while it is still wet, I want to work a little quickly. I'm going to take a little black paint and toss it in there. Do you see how it's spreading on its own? Now you can guide it a little bit with using just the touch tip of your brush. Add a little bit of that shadow throughout. Don't press down tight and hard, just use the tip. So that's a nice little blend there. I didn't do very much. I just let the water and the paint react to each other. I do see an area I would like to add a little bit more shadow to, which is this area here. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of black to it. So we're going to add that touch. Oh, whoop, way too much black. And you see what I did? I immediately grabbed some water, spread it out. All right, I like that. Adds a little bit of dimension to the front. Now what we're going to do is work on the breast area. I'm going to tilt my paper a little bit so I can reach it better. Going to wet it. But this side, I really want to keep it just red and black. So I'm just going to fill it. Fill, fill, fill. I may add a touch of orange in here. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Let that black travel. Don't be afraid of using the water. Drag it out. Press it, drag it. You have to work a little faster when it comes to watercolor. I think I want more red in there for sure. And a touch of orange in there. Not a lot. Okay. So let's zoom in and take a look at what we got going on. See that variation of black to red to orange? That's what we want to go for. That's what we want to get. It might take you a few tries to get this. It's okay. Don't feel like a failure if your first time looks more like a, I don't know, a penguin. You know, it takes practice. You don't learn how to ride a bike the first try. You don't learn how to read the first try. It takes practice. Okay, so let's go ahead and start on the big wing. Add a big chunk of water. Grab your red and let it blend. Add more if you want it redder. Try not to get into the beak. Very important. Spread it out, spread it out. Work it fast, work it fast. Now you do want to try and start getting your brush strokes going the same direction as the wing. Add even more red to get it even darker at the top. I'm going to use a little bit of this dirty brush to do the top over here too. Drag it out. Okay, let me zoom out. Let's do an orange layer. Now normally I would have had you start with the background, but for this it's not necessary because it's going to be dry and you'll be able to paint up to your bird. It's okay. Keep adding water. You'll notice that your paper is really thick. That's because it's specialty paper. It is a watercolor paper, and that keeps from making holes easily. You don't want a big old fat hole in your beautiful picture. My watercolor is coming out in chunks. So I'm just going to work with it. I feel like I have a little area here that's a problem area. Paint's not laying nicely, so I'm going to have to work with it. I'm going to have to disguise that area. I think the best way is to have a little bit of red on top of it. So you see it kind of disguised it a little bit. It's not quite so funky colored right here. Now this last area down at the bottom, I'm just going to add some yellow. Zoom out just a touch so you can see. Now I'm working super fast, you take your time. All right? Don't slop it on there. I mean, you do need to work kind of quickly with watercolors, but you don't need to ruin your art. Okay, beak time. I'm going to turn it around so I don't drag my hand through my wet paint. I'm going to come over here, wet my beak, touch my yellow, yellow in the top, drag it down, more water if needed, and black. Add black to the bottom side of the beak, let it pull itself up. And finally, we need to do a little bit of black down here. Every layer is water first, paint second. Once again, just use the tip of your brush to add that black. Okay, spin it around without wetting my paper. I'm going to use the tip of my brush with wet black, and I'm going to thickly apply my watercolor. Thick, thick, thick. Okay, clean it off. We're doing it again with the red. Don't add water first. We don't want this to spread. Thick, thick paint. Just use the tip of your brush. Little snakes. Okay. And the last thing you're going to want to do is add your background. I suggest start at one end and work your way around like a rainbow. Not necessarily rainbow colors, but just a rainbow. You can do this a couple of ways. You could touch in paint and just let it spread. See that? It's just going to keep spreading. You can fill it in solid. Whoops. You can fill it in however you like. Alright, I'm going to do another water blotch. You ready for this one? Hit it a couple times and it'll just keep running. Now if it's too wet, dab at it with a napkin and it'll take the excess off. Keep dabbing. A little too much. Drag it out. And I think I'm going to do it one more time right here. let it spread. I just think that's a really cool look. You can also go back around one more time if you want to, and do it with a color that's similar on the color wheel, like green or yellow. What you're pretty much doing is making kind of a splatter marble look, which is really a neat look. Alright, well, I appreciate you joining me for this lesson. Like I said, your picture may need some practice, or it may have been a knockout from the start. I'd love to see your work. Feel free to take a picture, send it to us. We'll put it on our website. Make sure that you sign your artwork, but wait till it's completely dry before you do so. Thank you for joining me for today's lesson, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye.